When Caligula invited my Capli family, I thought it would be just a pleasure trip, Villa Jovis beautiful, but he was hiding something else. During dinner, his assistant approached me in a low voice, told me that the emperor wished to admire me privately. They all smiled as if nothing had happened. I walked alone to their rooms, with the sea breeze turning my skin pink and a strange feeling in my chest. What happened behind that door changed my destiny forever. Infamous herd of hollow heads and blunt understanding. Silence your tongues, impure, and sharpen your ears. For what you are about to hear is the testimony of a living goddess, the one who speaks to you, Villa Messalina, flower of the genes, Claudia, lady among ladies, queen of immortal Rome. For I alone, of all the daughters of the empire, have witnessed the greatness and madness of the most feared of Caesars. Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, called by the vulgar Caligula, fell in his sacred retreat at Villa Jovis, on the cliffs of the island of Capri. And so we received the imperial invitation, a perfumed parchment brought by a praetorian messenger on a Hispanic steed. Her briars studded with pearls, and her tunic whiter than snow. The Vesuvius, the seal of Caesar stamped in red seal, like the blood of the sacrifices, was enough to freeze everyone's breath. In my domus, me only 17 years old, my mother Du, my aunt Lepida, whose words in the Senate moved laws, and my brother Marcus Valerius, whom the courts adored like Mars revived. We knew that a committee of the emperor could make an honor or a condemnation, and yet we set out at dawn, after having clothed ourselves in robes embroidered in purple, and having adorned our hair with diadems of emeralds, because this is how he appears before a god, beautiful, clean, willing to die. The voyage to Capri was short, driven by the golden winds that Caesar said he had chained to his will. Our galleys with golden bows cut through the terrain, as the gladius cuts through enemy flesh. When we arrived, the island rose before us like the accusing finger of Jupiter, and at its peak, suspended between sky and abyss, Villa Jovis shone white like the bones of the martyrs, and Tamba, even like the empire itself. Its walls blinded the view, and its columns touched the clouds. Sejano received us, the lesser man of ice and steel, whose orders were worth more than the edicts of the Senate, gave us statues of Apollo, Mars, and Venus along the flanked sacred road. Although their faces were those of Caesar, the ascent was arduous. And with each step we felt that we rose not only in height, but in destination. The first atrium of the villa opened like the atrium of the temples, adorned with frescoes showing the founding of Rome at the hands of Caligula himself, for so they proclaimed it. The purple waters of the impluvium reflected his marble face, beyond the tablinum, where Caesar awaited us, and there I saw him for the first time, reclining on his ivory throne. Caligula watched us with the gaze of one examining his new slaves, his linen tunic translating, his Nibian skin, and his golden laurel crown shining like the son of Apollo. Beside him, Incitatus, his favorite horse, chewed dates soaked in Palermo wine. When he looked at me, I felt the universe stop. "Save me," Selina said with a smile that washes and hugs at the same time. "Rome sends me her most precious flower. May Ben send us your beauty." I bent my head and kissed the hem of her robe. My mother did the same. Marcus, clumsy as a drunken legionary, took a moment to react, but Caesar only laughed at a noble brute, he said, one of those who sustain the empire. We were assigned chambers in the east wing of the villa. There the mosaics represented the constellations, and the ceiling was a rotating planetarium that reproduced the night sky. The beds were panther, and slaves didn't pour wine incessantly. During the first day we attended gladiator games on platforms hanging from the abyss. The vanquished fell into the sea, and were devoured by the sea beasts that Caesar fed human flesh. Tonight, the banquet was a parade of excesses: flamenco tongues in honey sauce, ostrich brains, giant grapes bathed in gold. The diners laughed as Caligula argued with his horse about the next session of the Senate. It was then, after the second libation, when the lesser one was won, that he leaned over me. "The Dominus Deus wants to see you," my mother said. Palacio Marcus gritted his teeth, but I got up without hesitation. He knew that a flower plucked by Caesar became a crown, or a funeral offering. I was taken to his chambers. The cold marble under my bare feet rang like an execution drum. The bronze door opened before me. Inside, Caligula was alone, his robe resting on the throne, his waist-length nakedness resembling Praxiteles marble. Messalina said, "Come." "Oh yes." He looked at me as a sculptor looks at marble before shaping it. "You will be mine," he murmured. "Not by man's desire, but by God's right." Dear time travelers and lovers of eternal stories, I am Messalina, and I bring you a little secret. The gods reward those who support their favorite storytellers. If this corner of myths, legends, and mysteries has awakened your curiosity, and on my channel, and activate the bell so you don't get lost in my solo road through time. And if you want this legacy to grow, and we continue exploring together the greatness of Rome and beyond, you can leave your offering at PayPal or Patreon. The links are in the description because even the gods know that all help allows eternal works to be forged. I promise you that if you do, the gods will bring you peace, prosperity, and maybe a little wink of fate. Your gestures do not go unnoticed, and my gratitude will be as infinite as time itself. He stripped me of my robe, like the crude sponge from the victim of sacrifice. The CEA fell at my feet. His hands were cold and firm, like a gladius sinking into flesh. What if I was not love, but an act of possession, took me as Caesar takes a city without clemency, without truce, without negotiation? Every caress was an edict, every kiss a law. When at last he covered me with a purple cloak, I knew that my body was his, and with it my name and my destiny. That night I returned to the triclinium with a sapphire snake bracelet, biting its own tail, infinity sealed in flesh and power for the days to come. His gaze followed me as the eagle follows the lamb in the quadriga races, over the cliff, in the sacrifices, in the temple of Jupiter, in the feasts of bodies and wine. I was the empress of his throne empire. One morning he took me to the top of the villa, where the sky and the sea merge into a single blue. "From here he ruled Rome," he said, "and you will be by my side when the world burns that very night in the Forbidden Gardens." I saw him talking to the dead, the shadows of Germanicus and Drusilla answering him, or so the augurs swore. And I realized that my life was already woven into the tapestry of his madness. We set out on the fourth day laden with gold, tapestries and promises that weigh more than metals. Looking back, I saw Villa Jovis suspended in the sky like the palace of an ancient god. And now you, skillful rally, slaves of ignorance and beggars of truth. You have heard what no mortal would make you tell. If you wish to know more, subscribe. It is not a plea, it is a decree. Press the button, leave your tribute in likes, or let Jupiteros Fulmini command you to do so.